World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
Hey, what's happening?
Good afternoon. Tony Rogers here, your host for Urbanology, The Art of War. And I'm glad to be able to be here one more time. You know, it's an interesting concept of not putting a lot of weight into tomorrow and taking real focus on what happens today. A lot of times we tend to not take the time to appreciate the moment. And it's important to do that. Mother's Day is coming up, and so that I don't forget, I would like to wish all of the mothers who are watching a happy Mother's Day. I have a guest today that I can guess, I would imagine you could say in the spirit of Mother's Day, because she is a coach. Her focus is on helping women improve the quality of their life in many different ways. One of the things that, excuse me, in talking with my guest, prior in the studio, prior to coming on, she indicated that many of her clients are empty nesters, which is another thought that sometimes is not always focused on with Mother's Day. What happens when your children are grown or gone? You know, how do you begin to start looking at your life and what maybe you didn't do or should be doing now that you have the time? And so there are a lot of issues, I would imagine, that goes with that. Perhaps we'll talk a little bit about it. But I would like to have you give a warm welcome to my guest for Urbanology today, Ms. Janice Saunders, the creator of Your Seasonal Sisters. How are you doing, Janice?
I am doing well, Tony. Thank you for inviting me to be a guest on Urbanology today. I am truly honored.
Well, it's the honor is mine, and looking at your website and seeing some of the things that you do, my question is, what about men? You have some of those same issues, but nevertheless, I think it's very important, that we all have coaches. But we'll talk about the coaching. But before that, let's talk a little bit about who you are and your journey to becoming uh, uh, a coach and a creator of Seasonal Sisters.
Well, I'd be happy to share a little bit about myself. It's not funny, but it's not weird that I came into this actual position. I have been in New York my entire life. I grew up in the Bronx, and I am a PSAL swimming champion.
Oh,
And
okay.
that is one of the things that's unique about me. I went to Howard University on a partial scholarship for swimming,
Mm.
which is a Division I school that still has a Division I swimming team. Is the only African American school that has a Division I swimming team now. And I think my my learning at Howard really solidified the fact that, I want to be a business owner. I always was interested in entrepreneurship, but didn't know like what type of business I wanted to be in, and started my career after graduate school at Pfizer Pharmaceuticals, which is a New York based company. And, you know, I don't know if you've seen all of these in the disease states that people can have, but it really got me to thinking about where African American people are on their health journey. I mean, this was 35 years ago when I started my career. And what I noticed was that we were suffering from the end stage of many diseases that are preventable. And I really felt that I wanted to dedicate myself to being on the right side of that in some kind of way. And that's kind of how I got into even prioritizing my own health a little bit more. So my journey of learning about illness began with Pfizer, in selling medicine for hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol, erectile dysfunction, depression, Alzheimer's disease. These are things that plague our communities then and now. And some of them are more preventable than others by things that we can do. I left that job and went right into coaching school at NYU. And my professional certificate at NYU had me focusing on what I do best, which is speaking. Speaking was my livelihood, selling, talking about health. And where I am right now today is that everything that I do touches what's important to me. Coaching is important to me, communication is important to me, and health is important to me. And all of those different spheres are where I spend the bulk of my time
Mm.
and feel that I can make a difference in people's lives. And that's kind of how the Seasonal Sisters universe, I would say, got started.
Well, that's an interesting story. Do you still swim?
Yes, I do. I have been an age group swim coach for 30 years.
Hmm.
At Riverbank State Park here in New York City, we have an age group swim team from 8 and unders all the way through high school. And I swim personally on Sundays. That's my
Okay.
job. Yep. Sometimes I'm able, this is how it goes. In certain seasons of my life, I'm able to swim more. And in certain seasons, I've been able to only swim less. In this season, I'm able to swim once a week.
Okay. Based on other responsibilities or just
Yes,
based on?
based on other responsibilities. If you have a lot going on in your life, that's a season where you may have to adjust your healthy habits and do things differently that can support your health in different ways.
Mhm.
It
And
changes with the seasons.
that's true. And not to stay on the topic of swimming, but one of the things that I have had a number of male swimming champions. You're the first female, which I'm glad to understand and know that. But the issue of urban, especially black and brown children, not knowing how to swim and drowning, and there's not a lot of programs that are around. It's beginning to. I was one of the advocates with the Parks Department of beginning to create programs, especially after some of the tragedies of some of the young kids drowning uh, in the river, actually. So there's a passion there because in having the ability to talk to a large number of people, whether it's TV, radio, or writing, I like to talk and promote these things as far as the season. We're in that season, especially in New York. So wherever you are, there's always a season for that. But uh, I'm happy. Do you ever um, work with groups helping young people understand how to swim? Is that in your busy schedule something that you ever have an opportunity to do?
Well, I do recognize that USA Swimming has an initiative to help more people in communities of color learn to swim in their outreach initiatives. And I am not involved in that part of diversity in aquatics. My strength is in competitive swimming. And
Hmm.
I do understand that we do need more young people learning to swim. And I do recognize how complicated it is to actually get that done because several people have asked me to be involved in helping them to put together some programs here in New York City. And there are some challenges because young people want to become lifeguards, but it's complicated because it takes a lot of swimming knowledge to be able to be a lifeguard.
Hmm.
And you can't just wake up tomorrow and take a swimming class for 4 months and learn how to swim and be a lifeguard. So it takes a little bit more of a commitment. And so we're in the process now of identifying some young people who might be able to make that commitment and maybe be a lifeguard in 3 years. That's how long it takes. And
Wow.
also, it takes pool time. It takes scheduling. It takes quite a few things. So it's not as simple as it sounds, where pool time in a city like New York is very complicated and very expensive. So it's more than a notion to get a young person ready to be a lifeguard.
Which is why there's somewhat of a void. But let's get back to your seasonal sisters. What are some of the things that you feel are important to talk about when you're looking at a client for the first time? Let's say an empty nester, for instance, a mother whose children are no longer with
In the
their,
nest.
huh?
They're no longer in the nest like
Right.
you. My son is finishing his freshman year at Howard. And I have to say that the Seasonal Sisters works in three realms because we know all the literature says that it's not just what you eat and how much you exercise that has to do with how healthy you are. Yes, a healthy body is something that we work on in the Seasonal Sisters because as we age, numbers become more important. Hemoglobin A1C, cholesterol, blood pressure, weight, all of these things matter, right? What are the tests that you're supposed to get at the age where you are? Are you doing those things? These things matter. That's in the healthy body bucket. And it may seem regular for me, but it's not regular for everyone. Everyone isn't that on top of those things. But it's not just that, it's wise communication. How are we talking to ourselves? How are we talking to others? It is something that I have seen throughout the ages of being around women is that we are very, very tough on ourselves. And that toughness of how we talk to ourselves can really hurt us. And learning how to soften the communication and dialogue that we have with ourselves is a wise decision, one that is extraordinarily healthy. And we go through ways to recognize and be mindful and prepared to communicate with ourselves in a more positive way.
Mhm.
And as we branch out even further in the seasonal sisters world, we recognize that connecting courageously with others is better than isolating and being alone. Because we can be in groups and still really feel unseen because we're not bringing who we really are to the group. While we were in the studio before we became live, you talked a little bit about that. People
Mhm.
who are on other people's priorities. Well, your mother wanted you to do this, your preacher wanted you to do this, your partner wanted you to do that. But what do you want to do? And
Mhm.
really being able to talk with people about what's important to you at that time, that type of connection that you can develop is very courageous and can allow you to be seen. And it's a learned skill. We don't wake up and just walk out the door and these are skills we have. We can learn these skills. And these skills are being taught in the Seasonal Sisters universe and in many other places. So if you feel like those are things that you want to learn, then definitely reach out to get those skills because the learning can be there for you.
How is your coaching structured? Is it by um, the Zoom technology or podcast technology or individual or group sessions? How do you structure your services?
But that's a great question. There are a couple of arms to the Seasonal Sisters world. The Seasonal Sisters podcast is it's not a coaching avenue, but it is, you may notice that I have on a chef jacket. It is where myself and women that I am in conversation with talk about how they were inspired to prioritize health. And then we kind of cook up a recipe for healthy living together. That healthy recipe may include, adding more gratitude, adding more walking, whatever it is. Your healthy recipe is yours alone. So the podcast, it inspires women and whoever listens to it to be healthier in many ways. I also have a group coaching called the Seasonal Sisters Healthy Habits Collective. And we do use Zoom technology. That coaching group meets every Monday at 9 o'clock. And in that coaching group,
9 a.m.,
9 p.m.,
9 p.m.
9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What we do in that coaching group is we change with the seasons how we work with our foods, how we work with our routines, and how we work with what's important to ourselves. Because as the seasons change, so does what our needs are as a person. Sometimes in the summer, our needs are different than when they are in the winter, when they're in the fall, and when they're in the spring. Different things are the top priority. And learning about what your top priorities are helps you to organize how you can be healthier.
Mhm.
So
Well,
those are two ways.
well, one of the things I've worked in the wellness community for some times and have trained in the martial arts and in different types of mind development practices. And one of the things that I've learned is that no matter what you eat or what you do with your body, the mind is a very important thing. It's mind, body, and spirit. And if you are not able to kind of connect those three entities, it something is usually off. How do you deal with? And before I ask you that question, there's another observation that I've made over the many 70 some odd years is that people of color, especially African and Caribbean, but African Americans in particular, from uh, the, the slavery era, have developed a kind of a post traumatic stress syndrome, uh, consciously and subconsciously. So when you put those things together, when you're talking about loving yourself and the whole issue of how you see yourself and how you feel other people see yourself, mind development becomes very important because without, I guess, to make it simple, without understanding how to love yourself, it's difficult to understand how to love others. So, how do you work those things into some of the, I guess, for the lack of a better term, some of the negative programming that both men and women, for different reasons, uh, s- stand in their way of development?
I'm in complete agreement with you, Tony, on this. And that is, we can't change the past. What we can do is care for ourselves the best we can today so that we can prepare to have a great future. And what I also believe and know through the coaching that I've done over the years is that being more mindful of everything that we do helps us to understand ourselves a little better and helps us to understand what's underneath some of the things that we're doing or not doing, some of the decisions that we're making or not making. And slowing down a bit can help us to do that. And as you said, African American people have some of the worst health outcomes in general, no matter what socioeconomic line you're on. And that fact right there was very disturbing to me. So what didn't protect us was education. Education made, us seem like we needed to do more. The talented 10th had to arrive and say more and do more, serve more. And I do agree with that. And I also think we have to recognize when we are not being in alignment with what we need for our body, for our mind, and for our spirit, so that those things do stay connected. Because in the seasonal sisters world, the body is right there, but communication and connection is what makes your spirit come alive. And if you are isolated and alone and communicating what doesn't matter to you, that is not going to be healthy for you. And it's nothing like being able to communicate what matters most to you and have it show through your actions each day. That is where, um, no matter where we are on our journey, whether we're in, early adulthood or we are empty nesters, that is healthy when your actions align with your personal values. That's a good thing, and that's something you want to continue with. And in the seasonal sisters world, we find that experimenting with new healthy habits helps us to expand what it means to be healthy, because we have a very narrow view of what health really is. Oh, I didn't get to the gym, I didn't get those kettlebells in, or oh, I haven't had that HIIT class, or I haven't been on my Peloton, and all of these different things. That doesn't mean you haven't done anything that's healthy. Have you made a meal for yourself? Have you had water, enough water? Have you taken a walk? Have you phoned a friend? These are all healthy habits. Have you given someone a smile that needed it that day? And in our minds, these are things that that are very important. So I just want to recognize that all of those are what keeps us healthy and can connect us in to what we're doing today with what we did in the past.
Well, you're correct. We can't always change the past, but there is this issue of negative programming. And when we talk about females, not to, uh, there's always this chauvinistic issue that arises itself. But the truth of the matter is that being, let's say, an African American female, there are many different negative uh, programming issues that stand in the way of providing health. Um, Whether you're a mother, empty nester, and the like. And sometimes those things uh, become more apparent when you are in a position where you don't have to worry about your children because that could take you away from some of the stuff about yourself, or you don't have to worry about this career because sometimes that takes you away from some of the issues. But when all of those things are quote unquote maybe in place or not there anymore, and you have to kind of look in the mirror and see, well, who am I now? Those are the things that seem to me to be, especially for a black woman, issues that uh, can can hinder uh, growth and self love. Do you find that in some of your experiences with people?
Well, I don't find that Black women don't know who we are. I think we're very aware of who we are and our place, and how much of a contribution that we've made to our families, to our social organizations, to our churches. I think we do know who we are. On the second hand, on that, the second part of that question is yes. And when you're an empty nester, or when you're maybe a little bit later on in your life, maybe you're in your 40s or 50s, who am I right now? I'm not who I was in my 30s or 20s. I'm probably taking care of an older parent right now. I am managing my child as they launch their career, as that relationship grows in a new way. Then it really says, hey, I've got some things that I want to explore now that maybe I haven't been able to explore before. I don't think that African American women don't know who we are. I think we do know who we are. I think we have had to do a lot of other things and put what we want to do for ourselves on the back burner a little bit. Maybe we've dove into a couple of things here and there, but this may be the season that you are able to look in the mirror and say, you know what? Maybe I do need someone to give me a little bit of direction to help me find what that next thing is that I'm going to do. And I didn't even plant this. But right now, we're working on a project in my in the Seasonal Sisters Healthy Habits Collective called the 100 Wishes Project. And in that project, we have 100 wishes for our life. I have 100 wishes, right? And I'm putting them into themes and categories: health, self development, learning, travel. And then the next thing I'm doing is organizing my time so that I am moving towards what I think I can get to this year. and organizing those. Maybe this is this year, maybe this is in the next 5 years, maybe this is in the next 10 years. So that I'm doing more of what I want that's in alignment with my values. So in the Seasonal Sisters world, we do use tools from the social scientists that have been validated to improve health and happiness. And the 100 Wishes Project is one of them. So there are books that are written on this, and we need to do that. We need to know that there is life out there for us that we want, that is in alignment with our values, because we know what our values are. Those are the women that I know. And I feel that there's probably the women in your audience. We know who we are, and we know what we want to do. And we also know that we can put a plan together and be a little healthier. And the Seasonal Sisters Healthy Habits card deck that I developed is a wonderful tool to help you to experiment with new healthy habits. So in this season, you can get out there and create some new rituals and routines for yourself that feed life into you on your own time in your season, right?
Well, one of the things that I've noticed in our conversation is that seasons is kind of like a major focus. And how did you come up with the concept of using seasons as a foundation of what you're coaching?
I love the seasons. And as part of a group many decades ago in my life, we did a 7-day juice fast that led into each season. And you came off of your food for 7 days, you were on the juice fast for 7 days, and then you went on to regular foods in 7 days. So it was really a 21-day lean into each season. And I learned a lot about myself in that time. And I said to myself, I don't want to do that alone. I also know that everyone doesn't have the propensity to do a juice fast for 7 days. I don't even want to do that at this stage in this season of my life, but I do want to slow down. So I use the concept of that to do a 5-day slowdown into each season in my coaching group, where we talk about the organ systems that are going to be cleansed during that particular oncoming season, what it is we can do to support those systems in our daily life. Sometimes citrus we need, sometimes it's more leafy greens we need, sometimes it's more dandelion root. Sometimes there are things there that we can do to support ourselves in each season. It's different.
Well, it's interesting. I know from in the Taoist concept, especially the ancient Taoist concepts, each season had a relationship towards healing, as far as each season has a relationship with the yin and yang organs,
Mhm.
the planet, colors, foods. Many of the sages would treat people in a certain way based on the season that they're in. Uh, as we move into summer, that's the heart. There's a lot of issues about people having more heart attacks in the summer than normal. Uh, Summer, the heart has a lot to do with love and compassion and the like. So there are many areas. Winter, water. They're the 5 elements. And they are connected into those things. So what you're saying
Mhm.
goes back thousands of years, back into West Africa. As I started traveling into Africa, I started to realize that many of the things that I learned studying Asian philosophies really were philosophies that came out of Africa. And seasons are extremely important in dealing with health in a holistic standpoint. So as I hear you talk, I guess, did you ever uh, realize that those things were things that have been used for thousands of years, or is this something that, there's nothing new under the sun? We we come up with these things, but they're basically things that there, and we open ourselves up to that energy and that understanding. But
I learned from a beautiful woman who had a holistic health center on 125th Street many years ago, who you may know. Her name is Daya.
mhm,
I went to Daya. I just ran into Daya one day and I said, you know what? I'm going to do what you're doing. And I stayed with her for a long time, and until I kind of moved away and then came back and then she wasn't there. But I've done what I learned from her since I met her. I'm
wow,
one of those people that once I learn something and I feel like that's good for me, I don't stop it. I don't like say, oh, that's not working anymore. I stay with it. So there are practices that I learned from her that you're right. These practices go back thousands and thousands of years. And she taught me some surface area practices like that I've expanded on in my own personal training and learning.
mhm,
So I use body astrology just to get people thinking about the different parts of the body. In the spring, we start off with the head in the Aries season, and then the Taurus season, we go to the neck. And then in the Gemini season, we start talking about the arms and how we communicate. So I use that just to get people start thinking about what their body is doing, what's going on in your head, what's going on in your neck at a base level, not intricate, but what's in there, your ideas, how are you speaking, using your voice and your throat? How is that originating so that you're saying what you mean? How are you communicating with your body? How is your body language? And those types of things are what keep us healthy and strong and keep us mindful about what we're doing each day.
mhm.
So I can say that yes, I am aware that some of the things that I do go way back. And what I'm also aware of that now, where there might not have been a lot of social science data to support how those behaviors translate into improving health outcomes, there is now. And I latched into all of it. And in the Seasonal Sisters Healthy Habits card deck, it comes with an accompanying ebook that can connect you with the science behind some of those practices, all of them actually. And that's important too, because we need to know that what we do actually has some science behind it. Because you don't have to be doing activities and there's no science behind it. How do you think that's going to improve? Some stuff has more science than others, but having been in the pharmaceutical industry for 35 years, I do believe in science. And I think that we have to take advantage of it in every way we can to help us be as healthy as we can.
Well, I'm sure that there could be two more shows or debates about the difference between pharmaceutical remedies as and herbal or a natural remedies. I have a friend who she's trained as a pharmacist, but now has a holistic wellness center in Harlem. And one of the things that she indicated is that in her training and study, she noticed that many of the foundations of some of the pharmaceutical products had natural herbal basis to them. and were changed, in order to develop copyrights and the like. So she started looking at, then, well, if that's the case, um, many of the side effects can be eliminated if we just go to the basic source. I know that I speak sometimes to the deaf ear, but I always uh, am concerned about, if you look at a commercial and it tells you about this product that can help you, but then it tells you that it can kill you, or it can create some of the side effects that may be worse than what you're taking. Uh, Life is like that also. How do you, based on your background, how do you do the balance between pharmaceutical wellness products and holistic health or natural organic wellness products?
I think that's a great question. And I will never say to anyone, do not take a medication that a doctor has prescribed for you. Because I truly believe in the power of pharmaceutical drugs. And in my own life, I have seen pharmaceutical drugs make a difference, and I've seen them make a difference in other people's lives. And I've also seen people have disease states where there's no pharmaceutical intervention available. And we have to think clearly about the pharmaceutical industry. And one thing is for sure, if you have a choice in whether you want to partake in the pharmaceutical industry or you don't. For me, I choose to partake in the benefit of clinical trials that are proven to reduce heart disease. I choose to be a part of an industry that supports that type of data for me and for other people who may be in a situation where they may need something like that. If you think about, like, to be pushed to the very brink of something, if there is one product that they can give you that might give you more life, are you going to try it or are you not going to try it? If you have something serious that there's nothing else for you, what will you choose? So if there, the pharmaceutical industry has a place. Now, the seasonal sisters world works alongside of pharma. These are healthy habits that can only enhance whatever you're doing that you're working with your physician on. I am not in the business of taking anything away that a physician has prescribed, because we need pharmaceutical intervention at times. But we also need to do what we can do, our part: meal planning. We need to do our part: exercise. We need to do our part: being involved in things that matter to us so that we have meaning and purpose and connected in a way where we want to stay connected. So I think that those are areas that can support any intervention that you are receiving by your physician.
Well, again, which is a long-standing debate that will, I'm sure, continue. I just interviewed Patsy Bowman, who is the wife of Dr. Sabi, and I know that uh, what his position was, which actually he was sued when he said that anything that uh, uh, a person suffers from, in many cases, can be addressed using certain types of herbal remedies. And that legal issue went all the way to the New York State Supreme Court. And he was able to win the case by having clients who had been diagnosed with terminal illnesses, whether it was AIDS, because it was in the 80s, so it was around AIDS or cancer or some other issues, who had been given a prognosis that they were terminal, but in changing their lifestyle and their eating habits and many other things, were able to overcome those things. So there's, as I said, a thin line sometimes
Yeah.
as it relates to um, what a physician might tell you, and what you can do if you put time and effort into doing research on alternatives. That's how I got into the wellness business. I had a loved one, my second. I've been married 3 times, so I'm on my third marriage. But my second wife had Hodgkin's disease, and at a certain point was seen to have been put into a position where there was no more that could be done with her. And without giving up, that's when I started looking at holistic health, alternative medicine, and the like. And it was interesting. She it was 3 years after she had received a terminal diagnosis, and when she passed, she indicated that she knew why she went through this to prepare me to do what I need to do. So I have a strong focus when I talk with people about making sure that they understand that there are alternatives. And I have seen too often people who were told by a physician that they were going to die that died, because in their mind, if your doctor says there's nothing else that can be done for you, you kind of give up, which is something that, from personal experience, and everyone is different, I realize that that's not true. The AIDS, I mean, the COVID was a good example of that. Before the vaccine was developed, uh, doctors didn't know what to do. No one knew what to do, which opened up a tremendous avenue for holistic health and other ways to stay healthy. I just bring that up because I know that you talk with a number of women, and I just wanted to kind of get an idea of your sensitivity as relates to choice.
I am very much a pro choice person all the way. And I think that we do have a choice. And many times, despite our best efforts, we don't choose healthy options. And I would never blame someone for their condition because they didn't choose a healthy option.
Mm.
I would say that, you know what? We've all been in that position, and every day we don't choose the healthy option. But you know what? You have tomorrow to choose again, or the next decision point you have to choose again. And each time you are more mindful of your decision making and choice map, you will have the opportunity to make a better decision. And in coaching with me, we work on that because, like you said, through the lineage of African American women, we haven't always had the opportunity to be the person who's in charge of our choices. And this stage, we may be in charge of our choices and able to affect the choice maps that we have in a better, in a more healthy way for ourselves.
Mm.
And that is, in fact, a way that I do feel about choice.
Mm.
And I also want people to feel that, to not run away from the prescriptions that their doctor may have given them. Because what I've also seen is that people begin to pay attention to their health Maybe you needed 3 prescriptions, maybe now you need 2. You start to add a little bit more into your life. Maybe you're on this dose, maybe the dose becomes less. So we can work on things in running in the same line, in the same path, so that you are living a long life with all the health that you can have on that path, using all the tools that are available right now so that you can be as healthy as you possibly can. Because many women have given up on being healthy. They are just, I'm just going to be this way. And I want to challenge each of
That's how I am.
and right. And we don't have to have the diseases of our mothers and our aunts and our grandmothers. We don't. We have different choices that we can make. We can live longer, live healthier,
Mhm.
because there are more interventions that are available for us right now. Even our smisters, which are misters, right? In the same way. I'm about to interview a woman on the podcast who does her stuff with her partner. She does her walking with him. They do their meal prep together because that is in the bucket of connection. All of that they are realizing improves their relationship and helps them to connect better. So, in the Seasonal Sisters world, we know that being healthy is much more than what we eat and how much we exercise. It is about how we're communicating, that how wise we are communicating with ourselves, and how courageously we're able to connect with people. So I'm on board with you. It's about choosing, but we don't want to beat ourselves up for not making that super healthy choice 100% of the choices that we have, because that's when the unwise communication happens, and that's what I don't want to see in women or men.
Well, one of the things that I also noticed in some of the holistic wellness practices that I've observed and actually was a part of, everybody is different. I mean, there's no two people alike. So, my question, I suppose, is that if you're talking to 4 or 5 women, uh, each one may have a different issue that prevents them from making that next step, but those issues may come from different reasons. How do you kind of allows for some sort of middle ground in communication to these women before you discover that there's some individual issues?
That is where no two people are the same. However, being healthy is a unique mix. That's why we cook up our own recipe for healthy living and a path forward. There are a plethora of options to choose from, right? My mix is going to be different from every person that I've ever coached. And but we all have healthy options in each basket. That's what we do have.
Well, again, it's kind of a old saying, simplistic, but it really comes down to self love. And if you first can begin to understand and love yourself, it opens the door for other options in order to improve yourself and to age. Uh, tell, I know that your website is there. Is that the best way for people to reach you or to get involved with the things that you do?
Absolutely. Or you can follow me at the real Janice Saunders on Instagram, where
Hmm.
everything that I have going on is there. And yes, the website is there. And I also wanted to share with each of you the Seasonal Sisters Healthy Habits card deck. If
Hmm.
you reference that you got the Seasonal Sisters Healthy Habits card deck from the Tony Rogers show, then I will include the Mother's Day bundle for you. because
And what is the Mother's Day bundle?
well, I have to tell you, the Mother's Day bundle comes with a 3-part video series on how to cook up your own unique recipe for healthy living. Plus, it has the card deck, which has 33 cards in it. The ebook that accompanies the card deck has a section on what each actual card science is all about. And it also comes with a lavender sachet because what mom and what woman doesn't want a lavender sachet? So, all you misters out there, get the lavender sachet, get the Mother's Day bundle for the women in your life, whether it's your sister, your mom, your aunt, your grandmother. Everybody could use the Seasonal Sisters Healthy Habits card deck.
Now, excuse my ignorance, but could you explain what a lavender sachet actually is?
Yes, it's a pouch of lavender,
Okay.
a fresh pouch of lavender.
All
If you
right.
go on my on Instagram, you'll see the card deck. You'll see how I have it set up in my house. You'll see the lavender sachet. You'll see a copy, the cover of the ebook, and the videos.
And well, I think that that's a perfect way to start to close out. And I guess I believe that there's no such thing as coincidence. Coincidence is a message from the mind of the universe. But uh, in order to have selected you as a guest today, where people are beginning to figure out what they're going to get their mothers for Mother's Day, I believe could not have been a better choice, Janice, because what you're talking about are things that, um, especially the Mother's Day bundle, is extremely timely.
It is. It is.
And and as I get closer to 80 years old, I, I've learned to follow those instincts that allow for me to do things at a certain time, even though I don't understand what they are. But my faith allows me to move forward with them, and most of the time they work out well. Matter of fact, when I don't follow those instincts, I kind of get punished some way for that. But I'm so happy that I followed my instincts with you today to have this interview and to be able to, at some point, maybe we can even talk to each other. So thank you so much for taking the time.
I
And
would love it. And I found that it was quite wonderful talking to you, Tony. And I'm sure that we will meet very soon. I'm sure.
I'm sure we're in that like minds think alike. So thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Take
Thank
care.
you.
All
All right.
right.
Have a great day. Bye bye.
Good day. Bye. And that's interesting. Please, if you have the opportunity to go to the website, yourseasonalsisters.com, look at that, especially if you're looking for that special, unique gift for mom or for a friend, sister, cousin, or whatever. That may be something that you might want to look into. And again, before I leave, I would like to wish all of the mothers a very happy Mother's Day. Enjoy spring and look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. Um, that's as they say. That's all, folks. See you soon.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.